Welcome to the Wally Show Aftercast. All the stuff we did not get to during the course of the show today. Big, huge day on Friday and over the weekend. And today, the rollout and fallout from the Roe versus Wade court ruling, overturning Roe versus Wade from 50 years ago. And I have to tell you, man, I remember saying this will never be overturned. Not in my lifetime. I never thought I would see this because it does go against a group of people in our society that don't believe that it is wrong, and they're very vocal, and they fought for years for this, as did the group, the pro-life group, saying, hey, we want to fight to have the protection of the unborn children, and so it's been such a hotly contested debate for so long, and it was just jarring that it actually came out. And what's really interesting inside of this is you see it on both sides. Like, I had to have a meeting over the weekend with our boss talking about, well, what do we talk about? How do we cover this on the radio? Because you just can't get into the depth of it in 2.5 minutes. And the craziest part of this is Joy, who does afternoons. He had stopped her and asked her, what are you hearing? What do you think? And she goes, I was just really surprised at how many people were upset by this. People that I know, like she was looking through her own feed, people that I know that were upset about this, and they're believers, and I think it shocked her or took her back, because maybe it's not a conversation you have with your friends, but then all of a sudden, here it is. Like in small group, we had a conversation about once saved, always saved, and I was surprised at the amount of people are like, oh yeah, you're not always saved. I'm like, oh, what? Oh. And I think she had that same moment with regard to some of her friends and abortion, and so while there is a huge celebration on one side of this issue, there is angst and anger on the other side. And I think that, like, as my boss was talking to me, I'm like, I think my take on it is just be wary of victory laps. I think the best thing we can do, if you are on the pro-life side, is show compassion for the people that are furious by this and fearful of what the future looks like, and stuff. And the work now, honestly, if you're pro-life, the work honestly begins now, because you have to step up to the plate. You can't take this away and then just turn your back and go, we won, because this isn't about, ultimately, it's not about winning an argument. No. It is about saving children's lives. So if you say, okay, abortions are bad and no abortions, and then you don't help the aftermath of that with adoptions and placements and care and taking care of these girls, if you just throw them away too, then nothing good comes of this, honestly, and so that's I think where the work should begin. And I think maybe if the pro-life movement was more vocal about that versus just we won, you might find less pushback. You're going to have a lot of pushback on it, but maybe you'd have a better situation inside of this, So
yeah, I agree.
I think it's tough, like, and it's tough because I'm a guy talking about this. I think it's probably different for me, maybe so, than you, Rock. I don't know. I mean, I think we were kind of on the same page.
Because we were talking about it earlier, and all the things I was telling you earlier, you just said. So yeah, so we agree on it.
Yeah, what's really weird is I was watching, I was vacationing, we took a weekend trip with some friends. We met them over in Dollywood, and they had like a timeshare. So we're there, and their kids are watching Disney Channel, okay? And Disney has become so woke that they're going to go broke. But they have lost their ever-loving minds with everything, with LGBT, with abortion. So watching Disney Channel, and they have it's something I don't think they created for this. I think they had created it for something else. It was about women empowerment, which is a good message. They want to teach young girls, find your voice, be empowered. And so they're passing a baton between women running, and on the baton are words. And so in the past, the baton would have said equal pay, for equal jobs, kind of things like that. This one, the baton, and they had probably had this before, but it says access to health care. So they're rerunning this now in the midst of the Roe versus Wade decision to children, and they're running this message now, and they're staying on that baton. They're not cutting away and doing all the things that women need to feel empowered. They're just focusing subtly on that issue to kids. And I'm telling you, man, I've been a Disney fan for years, and I've worked for them, and my daughter works for them. They are losing me quickly,
right?
As someone that is investing and spending money in them.
Yeah, I just don't think that that's the place for any kind of religious or political statements. It's like they're kids. Leave them, give them this for just a little while.
Yeah.
Let their childhood stay for as long as it can before you indoctrinate them with something else.
That's it right there, indoctrination. So they feel that they're right on all of these issues, and so they're choosing to indoctrinate your children. So where you have to step in as a parent is say, okay, well, this is not going to be what my kids take in because I'm an involved parent, you know. And I'm not about canceling as like on a whole, but definitely, man, like having those conversations and being like, yeah, we don't agree with this, and this is why, you know. But it's really frustrating to see that, and their stock is down so much. If their stock got back up to where it should be, I'd sell it. I'd be done with them. I'd be 100% done because I'm tired of their nonsense. But like I can't take that hit right now because I got to retire. But then I'm a hypocrite too, you know, so maybe I'm going to have to take the hit and just not make as much on that. But I don't know. So here's the thing. Some of the fallout from this is you're watching the feeds, you know, and your friends speaking on this. And, you know, there's part of the conversation that we had was, well, like if we don't talk about it, there's a segment of our audience that will be mad. And if we do talk about it, there's a segment of our audience that will be mad. You know, darned if you do, darned if you don't. We can't win for losing sometimes. But I feel for the people that are on the pro-choice side of this in one area, and that is going to be the confusion. The different rules by every state.
Oh, yeah.
That's where we got into this with COVID. And that's one of the most frustrating things about COVID is all the rules were different. You never knew what they were. And so you're just mad. And I think that's what's going to happen here with all these states. I think 8 states now are going to a complete ban with very few exceptions. 23 states have gone very tight, restricted on it. There are prison and fines for doctors performing abortions. And so like, and again, I'm not even saying that I don't think that stuff is right. I am a pro-life. I'll be very clear. I'm pro-life. My fear in this is that we swung all the way to the right. And the left had been all the way to the left. So we swung all the way over here, and it was like, banned, done, versus hitting somewhere in the middle as a step towards that. I think it's like jumping into a cold, like icy river. The shock hits you, and it's going to be a shock and a ripple effect after this versus had we moved incrementally towards this goal. I think it would have been... It's never going to be received well, but it probably would have been received a little better. But I will tell you this. I believe that this and a lot of other things you're going to see from the conservative right are in direct response to how woke and how politically correct and how insane the left has gone. You're going to see, it's kind of like the laws of dynamics, an equal and opposite reaction. You're not going to see an incremental thing because people are like, if we can control this, we're going to take it back. And they're never going to own this. And then this side's like, we're never going to give this up and you're not going to own this. You're seeing the extremes play out here. And again, that's never, ever, ever healthy. So
yeah, I would like to hear from the women who have decided to get abortions and then regretted it or got abortions and are thankful that they got it. I would also like to hear from kids who were tried to be aborted and
Tim Tebow.
Was he?
Yeah, that's his story.
Yeah. And so I would like to hear from those. I would like to hear from people who have actually walked through it instead of people who are just fighting to fight, and that's for both sides.
Yeah, I think that it's a difficult issue, and inside of this, having empathy and compassion for people that have made that choice in the past, or still want to make that choice. I think my problem is where we stop the sentence. We say, it's a woman's right to choose what to do with her body, and that's what we say, or it's a woman's right to choose, because this really feels more about freedom than it does about abortion. I think it's a bigger issue. Mm-hmm. But when you finish that sentence, it's a woman's right to choose to end a life. That is heavier, and it's real. It's more real, than just it's a woman's right to choose. If it was, hey, you cannot ever have plastic surgery. yeah, I'd be all up in arms. I'd be like, no, you can't tell a woman not to have plastic surgery. It's her body. She can do what she wants to with it. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to the life of another being, a human being and a child, then your rights end where that person's rights begin, and so that's I think what the other Right to Life has been saying is like, this is a child, it's a child at conception, and it has rights, and you cannot just end it because it's going to be inconvenient. That's another part of this. Like, well, why don't you just take your kids when they're inconvenient and just get rid of them? And that's an extreme view of this issue, but that's kind of what the issue is for some people. It's an inconvenience. I don't want this.
Yeah, and I don't know. I would like to know too, like, why is it that birth control? That's. I think it's given out free to anyone that wants it,
especially in schools. It can be in Planned Parenthood. It can be accessed.
So I don't understand. Yeah. There wouldn't be a need for abortion if there is
personal responsibility, but we don't have personal responsibility,
Yeah, so then it goes to how many cases of abortion is it because the woman didn't have personal responsibility and was just
or
not...
the man
or
too,
the guy,
yeah. Or the case being that she was actually a victim of assault.
See, and those,
I'd like to know the difference between the two.
Those are big gray areas for people, and some of the states will have caveats for that, but others don't, and that's what's going to be uber frustrating for people.
Would you be would you, as well as everyone else that's standing on pro-life, would you be angry if they said, in a dream world, whatever, that the women who are actually victims of assault, they can have, and those who have medical disabilities, or their life is threatened by birthing a child, would you be mad if they were okayed to have abortions?
Here's the thing. I definitely am not the far right of this issue. I am more moderate on it, and I have compassion for those people. And I get how people on the far right are like, well, how can you have compassion for murdering a child? I understand that. But again, until you walk in somebody else's shoes, it's really difficult. Like to sit there and tell a woman that's been raped, you have to go through with this. I understand where that's problematic, and I feel for that person. So to make a blanket judgment on that, I would say that person needs ultimate counseling and like help, to process this, because inside of this, even though that was born from a really horrific thing, children can grow up and they're not, yes, they were the product of that, but they're not defined by that. And neither are you, kind of thing. So you can I've heard stories of women that had bad situations and their kids became the greatest thing in their life, and then others, it was just a downward spiral from there. So it goes either way. I would tend to lean on the side of, boy, if we kind of like the mass shooter issue, getting to them ahead of time before the gun laws. Same thing with the abortion laws. Like, it's hard to legislate morality, but I would say if we were really good at counseling and helping and follow through and like, okay, look, maybe you don't want to look into this child's life the rest of its life because it's going to take you back and remind you of something horrific, understandable. But we can make sure that this child has a great life and adoption and we can give this child a chance where this is pain for you. But then other times that child might be the thing that saves them. Too, like in their, and you just don't know, and that's the gray of it.
I think the hard part is that there's blanket statements on both sides. Yes. So there's blanket statements on the right and the left, and the right is saying no abortions whatsoever. And I believe that a child is a God's creation right when they are conceived. Right. I do believe that. So
they're growing and they're living
and
instantly.
And I don't want to see them be murdered. Of course I don't want that. I think that's innocent blood being shed. Right. But I also think about those girls who never had a good family growing up. And so they fell into sex trafficking. Who knows, and then now they're having to take care of a child that is going to be put directly in a bad situation. Right. Now, adoption, I agree adoption should be a thing. Now, I do know that those who want to adopt in the U.S., it is like
it's
jumping through hurdles,
right.
one after another, after another, after another. So I get that. I think that there shouldn't be blanket statements, but when the left is seeing the right as blanket statement and the right is seeing the left as blanket statement, there can be no give because there is no give on the other side is how they assume it is. Yeah,
I wish that inside of this there had been a plan for, we understand that we're taking this away and it's going to mess things up, but and it's still early. And but boy, this would be a chance to win this argument in essence by the amount of love you show for people and compassion that you show for people amidst the victory, if you will, for pro-life. It's hard. There was a weekend fire at a crisis pregnancy center in Colorado, and it was spray painted, "If abortions aren't safe, neither are you." So again, both sides has their hate, man. And both sides are angry. Bans off our bodies. I think and all these things
it goes back to what we've said before in the past. I've heard you say, "Don't make a judgment call until you've sat down and talk to face to face with someone who has walked in that situation." And so I would love for that to be the case for the far right as well as the far left, and then make a decision.
Yeah, if you sit there and you talk to a scared girl who's 16 and you might have a different perception than when you're at a picket rally yelling at people, it humanizes it, and if you have any kind of soul at all, you can feel for the decision. Now, you don't have to agree with that decision at all, and you can try to dissuade somebody from that decision, but hopefully it would provide empathy, and that's the one thing we sorely lack anymore in our society, and especially with this issue. So my hope is that the right will do the right thing and make some good headway on constructive ways that if this is going to be the route we go, that we do still keep kids. This is the thing. If you're pro-life, okay, and you say how much you care for these children, you have to care for the children after they're born. You can't just say, well, I'm pro-life, and then they're born into this horrible circumstance and they become a statistic and their lives are treacherous. So if that's the case, if you're pro-life, you need to be pro the whole child's life, and I think that's where, if we were coming at it from that perspective, maybe this would be a little bit better of a situation. So there you go. All right, that's enough on that. A little lightness for the Monday. This was a weird story. There was a statue of Vladimir Lenin, a well-known communist, in Odessa, in the Ukrainian city of Odessa. And somebody, they've been earmarked that statue to be destroyed, because it's a holdover from the communist era. But instead, they actually kind of reworked the statue and put something over it, and now it's a Darth Vader.
Nice. Are they going to keep it that way?
Yes, apparently. They, instead of removing it, they just made it Darth Vader. But what's really weird is the artist says everything flows and nothing abides. And this guy had quoted a Greek philosopher, Heraclitus, I can't even say it. New heroes replace old ones, and this is how the world goes. But I'm like, Darth Vader's not a hero, just so you know.
He's a fictional character.
Yeah, I know, but he's a
very
bad guy.
Fictional villain.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you've replaced
cool, though.
Lenin with Darth Vader. You're sending the same message. I mean, the whole thing about Star Wars is that there are ties to like imagery that seems reminiscent of Nazi Germany.
Oh, yeah.
In the way that they do things and how it's been presented. And you've just replaced one for the other. You should have made it a Jedi, man.
Statistically, Darth Vader probably way worse than any of these people in our history.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I just thought that was weirdly ironic that you are going to get rid of this communist moniker or this holdover, but it's like you just replaced it with another dictator, a crazy guy.
It does make me sit here and question, when I watch Star Wars, I love Star Wars, and I watch it and I be like, Darth Vader's awesome.
Yeah.
But he's
an awesome villain, right?
Yeah, he's awesome in terms of I like when the stakes in a movie are that high.
Right.
But yeah, no, he's awful.
Lady Rock, what do you got?
Well, this past weekend, this past weekend, I went and saw the Elvis movie.
Oh, yes.
Oh, nice.
I do want to go see that.
It's really good.
I'm in love. I'm all shook up.
Okay, so you did like it because you love Elvis and you hate Priscilla, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, of course, yes.
So I was worried that she was going to make herself look so good and that he was going to look so bad. But they did it well. I posted a reel on my Instagram account where it's my dad telling me, like, don't throw hands, like don't get arrested and all this stuff. And I say, I promise nothing. Like I will throw my Coke and popcorn at the screen if she starts making him to be the terrible person or the victim. Thankfully, she did not do that. But
was Tom Hanks good in it? Because
he did fantastic. Okay, and it's amazing because he was wearing one of those suits that makes him look big. Yeah. But you cannot tell the difference between where his skin ends and the fat suit begins.
Okay.
It's amazing.
Me either.
Also, it was very artsy and it was very dramatic. Okay. So in that case, Wally, I think you'll love it.
Was the Elvis guy good? I've heard mixed reviews on him.
He was really good. He
sounded good.
He studied Elvis for 2 years when he took the role, and he sounded just like him. And I would say, of course, he can't look like the real deal. Like lightning doesn't strike twice.
Close.
Like God did an amazing job when he created him. But this guy,
young Elvis.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Young
Not
Elvis.
Jumpsuit toilet Elvis.
Okay. Anyways, this is my story. You're asking my opinion.
I know. Go.
So the kid, he did really well. I don't know his name. Austin or other.
Butler would be my guess.
Yeah, something or other. Anyways, I saw it. It was really good. I would recommend it to my parents. Were waiting to know what I thought before they went and saw it. Now, of course, all that to say, it's rated PG-13. So don't think what I'm saying is it's G and there's unicorns and rainbows at the end. There's not. But all that to say, they made it where they humanized him and made him seem like he had a downfall because of what's his face.
Where did they end the movie? Without giving away the end, but do they end with him dying?
Yeah.
Like, okay, so they go all sad. Because some movies are a
from
slice of someone's life.
Like as he's a child to then.
Like the revival stuff.
It's long. It's like 2.5 hours long or something like that. It's a long movie.
So Tom Hanks is good, and so
Colonel Tom Parker is the role that he plays, and they really show how Colonel Tom Parker was the downfall of Elvis. But also, too, they say it was love that was his downfall. I go back and forth. Both of them didn't help.
How could love be a downfall?
Because who knows if it's real or not, but at the end, Elvis, the character Elvis, says, I'm almost 40 and I still haven't made an impact. Like no one's going to remember me. And I think if he had known back in 2022, like people are still going to be talking about you. So it was the love of others. Like he wanted to, live up to everyone's expectations and earn their love. And he never thought, I guess, that he got it. I don't know if he really said that or not, but in the movie, that's how they show it. Right. And then Colonel Tom Parker, he was living off of the funds he made through Elvis. Sure. So
that's the tricky thing in music. They call it the music business because it's music and it's a business. And you have the people that can't do the music part of it, but the musicians can't do the business part of it. So there's a symbiotic relationship. You need each other, but it can get out of balance, and it's tough for creatives to work with business people. Yeah.
But the story is, so that wasn't the story. So
What's the story?
The Elvis movie came out this weekend, and it took over the top spot in the U.S. box office after Top Gun Maverick.
Oh, okay. That's good.
So Top Gun Maverick, it hit the $1 billion mark globally. And I think it's been out, for 3 weekends?
Oh, yeah, it's been out for a minute.
Not much, yeah.
Maybe a month, I'm not sure.
$1 billion
$1 billion,
globally?
and it's been at number one, but not until Elvis came out.
Wow.
Oh, Jurassic World didn't even...
Jurassic World is a...
I'm still going to see it.
You should.
Yeah, it's a good dinosaur movie.
Yeah, I mean, there's
see it.
nothing great about it from a cinematic scope. There's some good moments in it, but yeah, it's what you expect it to be. So that's good. So the Elvis one was pretty decent.
Will you go see Elvis?
I wasn't.
You still
I don't
got
know.
your AMC A-list, right?
I should. Yeah, I should go see because it
Yes,
doesn't
you
cost me
should.
anything. But like the Elvis. My wife didn't think the Elvis guy looked like Elvis or sound like she was like, oh, I think he's weak. And so she kind of didn't want to see it because of that. Like she didn't think he was a good choice for Elvis. Yeah.
Well, I will say I think he did really good.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll go see it then.
And you're a big Elvis fan, so
Yeah.
that's a good review.
Yeah, and Priscilla didn't take the opportunity to make herself look like the victim.
She said it was good. Like I know that his people from his estate, his family, and things like that are still around were like, oh yeah, it's really good. So that's interesting. All right, well there you go. Hey, birthdays. I got one thing.
Great,
here real
go
quick.
ahead.
Thank you. It says, hey Wally, my name is Brian, and I've been listening since your first day on Total Access. Holy cow, Brian, that's amazing. I wonder if I could get a 20th birthday shout out for my daughter, who went home last October. She's with the Lord, and so yeah, that's hard, man. That's hard, and so absolutely, for sure, she was all about life, and she had patience. She was just great, and the people that took care of her loved her so much, and so. I was wondering if you could also give Sherry and I, as well as your wife, Marty, a wedding shout out too. So they've been married since 1992. And my wife and I got married. Wait, that's when we got married too. Oh, wow. That's crazy. Wait. Oh, or he knows my wedding date. Oh, yeah. That's really strange. If we have the same anniversary, that would be really weird. But I think he knows mine.
Okay.
Which I don't know how that's out there. But anyway, well, I guess I talk about it. So, yeah.
You talk
I feel
about
like
everything.
you do, yeah.
Yeah, it's my
Your life
anniversary.
is on here.
That's true. It's my 30th anniversary today. I am not showing.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Not showing up without presents. I got a couple things, and so
If Marty doesn't show up with anything, are you going to be angry?
not
Will
at
you
all.
survive?
Not in the least. I would rather she not. Honestly, like
Because you want to
Because
look
it'll
like
make
the better.
you look better.
That's right. That's right.
This
She
is
said.
a sick relationship.
Interesting.
I know. No, she said she got something. But I kept telling her it's little because this is that danger. It's like somebody outdoes the other one, and I'm like, it's really not. The thing I got is not like a big deal. Like it's just a sentimental thing, you know. And so it didn't cost a lot of money, and so hopefully she will like it. But
What if she's disappointed? Are you really going to be mad?
I will be very disappointed myself. So
Disappointed in you or her?
both. No. So I went with sentimental, and I went with jewelry. So I know
Is she running out of fingers and necks to wear all
yeah,
this stuff?
yeah. I can't say she's got more necks. That would be bad. No.
Wait, you said it didn't cost much?
Yeah.
It's jewelry.
Well, that was an add-on. The first thing didn't cost much.
Oh,
It's not Claire's jewelry.
Yeah, the
The
first thing
first
I've had for a
thing.
while didn't cost much.
I see.
Which is the sentimental thing.
Yes, exactly.
The jewelry
That's-
is not sentimental. It's just
right.
nice
And I know
jewelry.
she'll like it because it's something she had seen that she commented that she liked. And so I went to a different place and I'm going to surprise her with it. So anyway, yeah. So there. Happy anniversary, honey. She didn't listen to the Aftercast. Believe it or not.
oh, then can we talk about it?
Yeah, but I don't want to take a chance because she is sneaky.
She is-
You don't want somebody else to hear something.
Yes, and tell her, like,
tell
because
her.
her cousin listens.
Yeah, let's
all
not
the time.
mess with
Like her
that.
cousin Giselle is a huge potty, and we love Giselle, but she would wrap me up. What do you got?
no birthdays
What?
today.
What?
I
Well,
guess
that
they
was
wanted to
fast.
reserve it only for you.
Well, thank you.
But we do have a question from Ethan, and Ethan asks, if you were president of the United States for 1 month, what would you do?
Oh,
I would
not.
tell you what I would do.
Oh, please.
I would initiate and proclaim and make a 3-day weekend.
Yes.
I was gonna say, yeah,
all the
4-day work
time.
week would be-
Yes.
And I would take away the time
the time change.
yes issue.
Wow, you're
So
killing
those
it
two
right now.
things.
Right now, you have my vote.
I would definitely.
Absolutely. And I know you're not qualified for a whole lot of that job, and none of us are.
I would make my vice president
Yes, me.
Buford Beans, my
100%.
cat.
Yes, again.
Even better.
Doesn't seem crazy at all. That seems just as sane as some of the third-party candidates in the last
Right?
election. The third party is always like, there's like something where like when because we're like, man, it'd be so great to have a more than two choices, you know, with the Democrats and the Republicans, and then you've got like the independent third party. They're like, hey, I'd really like to see some moderation when it comes to things like abortion, or when it comes to things like this. And you're like, oh wow, that's great, some moderation down the middle, like meeting in the middle. I love this. Oh, and aliens are real. Oh, and I was abducted. You're like, why did you say that? Now we're out.
The only one that got closest was that guy they did on
Ross
SNL.
Perot? Yeah, Ross Perot.
Can I finish? Can
I say something here? Can I say something here?
I don't remember.
Little Ross Perot was so great.
What in the world?
Can I say something? Can I finish it? Dana Carvey did him so well.
So good.
President for a day.
A
month, Gavin.
Oh, that's a long time. I would probably try to work on elementary school / junior high and high school cafeteria standards.
Oh, nice.
And raise the level of food that some of these kids have to eat. And I mean, like, raise it. Like, we're eating good.
Steaks.
Pizza.
Nice. Filet mignon.
Good chicken tenders from Popeyes, not Chick-fil-A.
Nice.
And maybe just that. I like food.
I think what I would do is kind of, we talked about this issue, and maybe this is because it's so prevalent on my mind, is that anytime there was a opportunity to picket and you have two sides picketing, I would have you both have to come through a gate. Okay, then you have to, like, the same gate, okay, because normally they keep them separated, so you have to come through the gate. Then there's a table where you eat together, and then you have to leave all your signs out, and you sit down and you have dinner with each other first, and you kind of...
Is the food free?
Yeah, food's free. Everything's free.
Okay.
And so you sit down, you have dinner, you talk with people. You cannot sit just with your own group. You have to intermingle and sit together.
And no fights?
No fights. No, you just sit there and you just kind of have dinner together. And then at a specific time, we go, okay, now we're going to go and you guys can all go protest now and just see what happens with that. Like, how many people go, yeah, you know what? I've changed my mind a little bit. I'm not as mad as I was 10 minutes ago when I walked in. Plus, I'm full. Banana pudding has something to do with that. Or if you really want to solve the problem, just give everybody Chipotle and have porta potties.
Oh my gosh.
And then no one will have time.
No protesting.
I want to make a point, but I gotta go.
Cannot. I want to debate you so much right now, but I cannot.
I think that would be good, though, because if you have it where you have to have it mandatory, where maybe it's, I would even say break it down to two seats per table.
Yeah.
And so you couldn't even have someone there to...
one-on-one.
Yeah. Like, you need to hold up your end of what you believe.
Yeah.
So let's do this.
And bring some humanity to it.
I like that, Wally.
Sure.
Well done.
That and also when I was at Dollywood this weekend, boy, I took a chance. I got a Chipotle-inspired meal. It was rice and some
wow, we
steak.
went from something so profound to
and,
where's this going?
And I took a chance because I knew I was going to be there all day and with roller coasters. And there was a moment where I was like, this is not good. I have done myself a disservice. And fortunately, was able to get past that and then enjoy the rest of the day.
Past it?
Yeah, just get past it. Just went away.
So it did happen.
No, it just went away.
Oh, so your tumbly did a rumbly.
Yeah. And then, something chilled out. And so I was good the whole rest of the day.
How is this tying back to the president thing?
I don't remember.
Because he was saying the free food would be Chipotle. And then you can't.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's what made me think of it. Like,
did you get any of that cinnamon bread?
Yes!
Oh my gosh.
What in the world?
It is. Gavin, have you had it?
No, I've never been.
Okay, let me describe it to you. They take a full loaf of bread, fresh bread, and they cut it right in the middle. And in the middle is a puddle. And please don't hear me when I say it. It's not a sprinkle. It is a puddle.
Full-blown puddle.
Of butter. And then they sprinkle cinnamon all over it. They roll it in cinnamon. And when you pull it apart and you pull off like a little loaf, like a little piece, a slice, it is dripping in butter and cinnamon.
So good.
It's so good.
It sounds like we should make that our new communion bread.
Yes, that'd be way better than wafers. The doors to that place where they sell it are extra wide to accommodate for the people buying it.
Listen, I've only been to Dollywood once, and I was told over and over, get the cinnamon bread, get the bread, get the bread, get the bread. It was the first thing that we all stood in line for, and I was like, is it real? Like, I mean, I've had some cinnamon bread, and I'm like, it's fine. I thought about, should I take a thing home with me?
If I had known you had liked it so much, I would have brought you some. I didn't know you loved it this much.
Who can hate it?
I know.
Use common sense.
I know. It was so good, man.
It's so good.
My wife and myself and our friend Jeremy,
how do they
just
do
the three
it?
of us ate the whole thing like in no time.
How do they do it? How do they get the puddle in there?
I looked
know.
this up.
It's good. It's really good.
It
anyway,
is heaven
now,
sent.
Now I'm hungry, and we have a lunch meeting to go to.
And we
so-
have an hour and a half to go.
Okay, well, I got stuff I got to do too. So, all right, well, that's going to do it for your Aftercast. And as always,
Thanks
for
for being
being
a
a
buddy.
potty.